Hello, welcome to the Bomb Shelter. I am your host for this episode. My name is Kevin Schumm. I'm a little bit sick.
No fancy nicknames?
No, well, you're the nickname guy.
Well, kind of.
My co-host this time is Jay McDowell. Do you have nicknames for us this time?
No, now you put me on the spot. I can't think of anything. The only thing of is this wonderful cherry pie that I'm eating right now.
Yeah, we ate dinner earlier on, and they have homemade different kinds of pies, and they had cherry. Both of us picked cherry,
And it's really, really good.
It's really good, and we're gonna eat that and record this podcast at the same time.
So if you hear smacking noises or noises, that's us.
Just like always, that's me. But yeah, you chose for your beverage cherry soda.
Black cherry cream. So I've got a theme going. What was your choice this time?
My choice this time was coffee with no alcohol.
With no alcohol.
But maybe during the break, if I feel good enough, I'll have some alcohol.
Throw some alcohol in there.
Yeah. I am a little bit sick this time, so hopefully my voice sounds...
Kevin's got his sexy voice going.
But we'll see how it goes. And the selection this time for the December
Christmas holiday
is Black Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
Silent night, evil night. Starring Olivia Hussey. Keir Delay. Margot Kidder. John Saxon. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. Silent Night, Evil Night, rated R.
All right. Well, that was Black Christmas, the trailer for Black Christmas from 1974. It was directed by Bob Clark, who also made another Christmas movie.
Yes, a far less violent Christmas
violent
movie.
one, yeah. Called A Christmas Story.
Imagine that.
I know. So he likes this Christmas theme, and but yeah, we thought we'd try to do something for the Christmas holiday, but you know,
do it in our own special little way.
So Black Christmas, and Jay had never seen this movie before, right?
Yes, it had been on my list for some time because I remember hearing about it because of reading about Bob Clark. I mean, not reading about him, but knowing his connection. So I had wanted to see it. Wow. Okay. Not a Christmas classic.
But definitely set during Christmas.
Definitely set during Christmas.
So there's several people in this movie that...
Lots of names.
Yeah, a lot of people you'd recognize.
The main character, cherry pie.
Yeah, cherry pie.
Main character's not cherry pie. Main character is Jess. She is our what would become known as the last girl, the final girl.
Yep.
She's played by Olivia Hussey.
Yep.
We have Margot Kidder as the drunken lush Barb.
Yep.
We have Andrea Martin, of all people, as Phil.
Yep.
And I'm just reading the people whose names I actually recognize.
Yeah, I know.
And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen,
we have
John Saxon.
John Saxon
As
guess what he plays.
Just take a wild guess.
Yes, that's right, a police detective.
Yes, and since we never could remember his name, we just referred to him as John Saxon.
Yeah. He's always John Saxon in every movie to me.
Pretty much all the people in this movie, if we couldn't remember the names, usually I'm the name person.
Yep.
If I couldn't remember them, I was making nicknames, so it makes it a little difficult. But, yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah, we'll make it work somehow. This one's a little bit, this podcast can be a little bit looser than even our normal loose, but
yeah, true.
We'll get through
it's a Christmas vacation podcast.
So yeah, one neat thing about this movie is a lot of people consider it sort of, it initiated a few things in horror.
It's kind of like the forerunner of a lot of horror movies.
Yeah, like a lot of people say that John
Or
Carpenter.
tropes, rather, sorry.
Yeah, tropes. Yeah, a lot of people say that John Carpenter saw this movie and either took from it or got the idea for Halloween from it. And you can definitely see some of that. Although I've always argued there's a lot of movies that kind of do the same thing there's a lot of Italian horror movies that kind of do this thing
but
way before Halloween.
But there's something to be said that Italian movies tend to copy American movie tropes a lot. So,
yeah.
But there was, I mean, most, well, I wouldn't say egregiously, the one that stood out the most to me was the early on, and then the use later in the movie also of the serial killer maniac point of view camera.
You're seeing what they're seeing. You see them walking around through their own eyes.
Which, if you've seen Halloween, that is how the movie starts out. With Michael Myers walking around, putting the mask on, myrtleizing his sister, and then turning out to be a little boy. Spoiler. So, but yeah, like you said, there were a lot of movie tropes in watching this and having seen the movies since then. That it's like, oh yeah, that.
And then you realize this was 1974, and it's like, oh, it came out before any of those.
Yeah. So it's kind of like before I saw this, I would always tell people, well, Halloween is what started a lot of the tropes that you see in other horror movies in the 80s. And actually, I guess you could go so far as to say that this started, maybe Halloween refined it a little bit. And is the one that more people remember.
Definitely.
Or more movie makers, rather. Man, this pie's good.
I know.
Sorry, people.
Bite break. But yeah, now, the one thing I wanted to... We should have talked about it beforehand, but obviously this is, like all of our podcasts, there will be a lot of spoilers in here. One of the tropes sort of is a spoiler for the movie of, like, the phone call situation.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we're going to mention it at some point. Should we just mention it now?
Well, one thing I do want to mention beforehand, because you mentioned our podcast.
Yeah.
Normally, the movies that we watch are no more than PG-13. Usually fairly tame. This one, if you are prone to watching any of these with kids, don't watch this one with kids.
Yeah, don't watch this one.
Don't watch this one with your mom.
Especially don't listen to it with kids.
Yeah. Just don't. Just take our word for it.
Yeah, a lot of
dirty words.
Dirty words, yeah.
Bad stuff.
Well, part of what the movie's about is... Well, let's just get into that.
Okay.
So what the movie is about is there's this college sorority. And it's Christmas time, like we said. Mm-hmm. So some of them have left for Christmas break. Some of them are planning on leaving for Christmas break. But there's a few stragglers still around.
Yeah.
And they've been getting nasty, obscene phone calls. Yeah.
Which was a thing in like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. I guess that wouldn't really, I guess you could do it with an unknown number nowadays.
Yeah, if people pick it up. But nowadays, you got caller ID.
Yeah, usually you just don't pick up your phone.
Yeah. So it doesn't work as well, but it was more of a thing. I remember on TV shows and stuff, them mentioning, oh, you got an obscene phone caller, and it was supposed to be all tittle-landing and everything. It really wasn't.
Yeah.
So unless you like people breathing heavy.
That's true. So yeah, basically, it from what you can gather, this has been happening. When the movie starts and they get their first phone call, that wasn't the first time it happens. They already know, oh, it's the heavy breather again, or whatever they call him.
Yeah.
So, and it's real nasty stuff. It's a male voice, and you can kind of gather that he knows this is a sorority house, so it's all female. Yeah, and he's just saying gross things, obscene things. And so they hang up, and but actually, to step back, like you said, the movie begins with a point of view shot from the murderer, and what he's doing is there's a party going on at the sorority house. And he is walking towards the house, kind of looking at what's going on in the house. And then he finds what do you call those?
Trellis.
Trellis, yeah. And he's going to climb up to I guess he either sees it or hopes there's an open window.
Well, because remember Margot Kidder's character, Barb, drunkenly walked over to the door and said, who left the door open? Yeah. So it looked like maybe he was going to try and get in there and then probably just slaughter everybody right there. Yeah. But she closes the door, and then he is trying to find another way in. He sees apparently the attic window. Somehow he can get up into there. Yeah. And he climbs up the trellis and pops open the window and then goes in there. Yep. Which was the point I said, none of these people are worth my time to climb up there to murder them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I've determined I will be a single story serial killer if I ever get to that point.
Plus, the attic's all creepy anyway.
It is. Probably a lot of bugs.
Even if you're a creepy killer, you'd think you'd be like, this is too scary.
Spiderwebs.
What if there's another killer in here?
Yeah. This is my attic. I'm sorry.
So the first person to die from this killer is
Claire.
Claire.
Sweet, innocent little Claire.
Yeah, she's sort of the innocent girl. She's, you kind of gather it throughout the movie that she had a boyfriend, but a real boyfriend.
But she was pretty chaste and pretty, a good girl.
Yeah, she had alcohol, but not very much at all. Like half a glass or something.
Not to Barb's level.
Yeah, Barb is sort of the drunk.
Sorta?
Very much.
Her and Mrs. Garrett were giving each other a run for their money.
But yeah, so she is packing to get ready to go home, and her dad's going to apparently meet her
the next day.
Yeah. And so she's going to go up. She doesn't want to stay up too late. She's going to go up and pack and probably go to sleep and then.
Well, she also got into an altercation with Barb.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it. Oh, it was about the obscene phone call.
Yeah.
Because Barb taunted him, and then. Claire goes, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. This person's obviously unstable. And basically, Barb is like, oh, little goody-goody. I get these calls all the time, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so Claire's just like, whatever, and goes to pack.
Yeah. They're pretty much the opposite. So, Claire doesn't have anything to do with the phone calls. Barb is like egging him on, basically, like talks to the guy on the phone and all that. So yeah, that upsets Claire. She goes upstairs, and she starts packing and is
Myrtleized.
Yep. By I don't know. I guess he chokes her. I think from what you can tell.
He puts a bag over her head. The laundry bag.
Yeah, like suffocates her.
Yeah, plastic, the dry cleaning bag.
And it stays on her head the entire rest of the movie.
Yes.
So he apparently takes her up to the attic after the killing and sets her in a rocking chair by the window. There. And she's just basically, from time to time, the rest of the movie, you keep seeing her just sitting there with the bag still over her head.
Yeah. And inhaled, too. Nice touch.
Yeah. So it's kind of sucked into her mouth a little bit.
Yeah. But there's more. He's not very. Well, he's a little creative. He takes Mrs. Garrett out with a hook and hangs her. And Mrs. Garrett is the reason we call her Mrs. Garrett. I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
Mrs. Mack, they called her. She was the dorm mom, basically.
Yeah.
And she gave Barb a run for her money in the drinking department. She had bottles of whiskey everywhere.
They're like hidden around, like inside a book and
in the toilet bowl or toilet tank, not
tank,
the bowl. Yeah.
So she's a drunk, and so is Barb. But so the movie's really odd. Like you kind of think you know who the killer is for a while, but then at the end you're like, there's no way it could have been him then.
Yeah. Yeah, and spoiler for a 44-year-old movie.
Yeah. And the thing is, I almost wonder, they've been getting these phone calls before the movie starts, but at the beginning of the movie, you see the guy crawl up. I almost wonder if the ones before weren't that same guy. Maybe it's just, because obviously, like that first one they get, that seems a little different than some of the rest.
Yeah,
you know
because
what I mean?
they said, oh, he's the heavy breather. And like I said, back then, that was more of a thing. And that's the point where Claire and Barb kind of lock horns because he's really, really violently obscene.
Yeah.
And really, really nasty. And they're basically, you get you get the hint that, oh, this is not the normal obscene phone call.
This isn't just someone, then they hang up and laugh like, oh, he scared those people. This is like an actual bad guy.
Yeah. And so I think the beginning of the movie is based on a coincidence.
Yeah.
That they just happen to be getting obscene phone calls. Yeah. And then this guy goes up there and that's how he taunts them.
Yeah. So this guy crawls up and he starts making obscene phone calls, but in a different kind of obscene.
And he's making them. watching this movie 44 years out and having seen all the other tropes, that were pulled from it, this is the one. I can't remember if we went all the way into it, but this is one of those where the killer's calling from, the phone calls are coming from inside the house.
Yeah, there's a second line, a different phone with a different phone number.
In Mrs. Mack's room.
Yeah.
And John Saxon, apparently he was new to this police force because he wasn't a very good detective.
No.
They tap the main phone line, and then the phone company guy asks, hey, do you want me to tap the other one? He goes, well, no, this is the only one that's been coming into.
Yeah.
Had they tapped the other one, they would have found out he was calling from up there.
Yep.
Eventually. And so they don't.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Well, he had never, nowadays you would immediately, nowadays we have cell phones, so none of this really matters anymore.
Yeah.
But after all these movies that had this thing where the guy's calling from inside the house, police detectives would know, like, of course I want to tap the other phone too.
Yeah, yeah. There's our co-host, Agatha.
Yeah, Agatha. She's doing her little I'm lonely or bored or something now.
She's doing her impersonation of Claude the cat from the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
There was a cat.
Yep.
So, yeah, more happens. More people die. We get thrown a red herring with Peter.
Yeah.
Jess's boyfriend. He's played by Keir Dullea.
Who is? Do you know who he is?
No.
He's the only other. I'm sure he's been in a lot of other movies too. But he's Dave from 2001. The main astronaut that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that Hal keeps talking to.
Oh, that's right.
So,
I think I've fallen asleep every time I tried to watch it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's this is probably his second most known role, as far as I know. But
I guess so.
One click of the mouse.
There we go to the IMDb.
Da, 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 da.
That's him.
Number one is, come on, computer.
Scroll.
There we go. Oh, no. 2001, David and Lisa. 2010, The Good Shepherd. So I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. But yeah, he's most known for 2001.
Probably.
Definitely.
But we're thrown a red herring because he's a little off kilter too.
Yeah.
And he's upset because Jess is pregnant and she wants to abort the baby and he doesn't want her to.
He doesn't want her to abort.
He wants to get married and she doesn't, and it just, things aren't going right. And he says one thing.
He says
basically getting rid of a baby,
like getting rid of a wart.
Yeah,
right?
isn't like getting rid of a wart.
Yeah.
And one of the phone calls that comes through, they say that, and so that throws you off.
Yeah.
And it makes Jess, like, oh,
she second guesses, like,
yeah,
wait a minute, that's too specific to just be a random.
Yeah, just
chance.
A coincidence. Yeah. And so then you're thinking, okay, it's Peter. Well, then we get to the end where she's being chased, a la Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween.
Yeah.
And she's locked herself in the basement. And then you see somebody go into the basement windows.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it's Peter. And he's acting kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And she winds up killing him. And ding, you're dead.
Time's up.
Time's up, Peter. You're dead. So she ends up killing him. And then, again, spoiler, we get to the end of the movie and you hear the person is still up in the attic and making phone calls.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Peter.
It wasn't Peter, yeah. So now there's a neat, I think the neat trick with it is at one point the police detective sort of, because of the tapped phone, he kind of hears Peter talking to her about the baby.
Yes.
And he says, now, I know that's your boyfriend, but what's going on here? I need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And she says,
and he sounds unhinged on that phone call, too.
Yeah, he sounds sort of weird. So the police detective, of course, is like, well, who's this guy? Oh, also, he saw Peter walking angrily out of the house.
Yes, he stormed out of the house.
When they came to the house. So
Yeah.
he's already wondering who's this angry young guy that's been around the house, kind of a suspect. So she says, well, I'm pregnant and I don't want to have the baby, and he does, and he's angry, and he's just emotional or something like that, right? But so the police detective asks Jess, well, have you ever had a phone call with Peter in the room? And she says, oh yeah, there was one, and then you remember, oh yeah, there was that one where there was a phone call, and then he was there. But I think the movie does a pretty good job of, you kind of don't know for sure. Like,
yeah, it does a lot.
You think it could be him?
There's
possibly.
a lot of misdirection.
Yeah,
and it does it really well because even up to the end, I was like, because I'm thinking, okay, well, this is the granddaddy of all these common things that we see in the movies.
Yeah.
So it was fresh and new when the movie came out. So okay, yeah, it could be Peter.
Yeah,
and it turns out, we found out it's Peter, and she kills him, and everybody's safe. But that nice little twist at the end, it's like, oh, okay, well, it wasn't Peter.
And what you think about is, I mean, because the real killer is in the house. I mean, he would have heard the argument they had. They were in the house when they had the argument about remove it like a wart. So, I mean, the guy on the phone is just maybe repeating.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Because it was in that. That's right. It was in the house.
Yeah. So he's just, I mean, he's an insane guy. And we'll talk about in a second what he tends to like focus on when he talks.
Yeah.
But yeah, he mentions of course, when he's on the phone, he mentions the remove it like a wart.
Yeah. And of course, about killing the baby.
Like about killing the baby. But at the same time, you realize, like, wait a minute, this guy's in a house and he just heard them arguing. He just picked some of the stuff the guy said and just said it on the phone.
Yeah, I didn't think, because I was trying to remember where they were, who would have overheard them.
Yeah.
And I thought they were at the conservatory still.
Oh, yeah. But they were
at the house.
Yeah.
And Peter did come downstairs and wasn't very menacing looking and everything. But yeah, that would have been where he would have overheard them.
Yep. And the killer is, I don't think the killer is, unlike a lot of other movies, the killer isn't, I don't think, clever at all. Or
no, he's an ambush
crazy.
Killer.
Yeah, he should have been caught on every single killing. He's just getting like dumb luck.
Yeah,
there's a loud noise when someone screams when he kills them, or
carolers were outside.
They were outside. And he's just, the whole movie he's sort of like kind of just walking around the house and just doesn't quite get caught.
It's opportunity.
Yeah, they'll be talking on the phone, and in the background you'll see his shadow as he's kind of stalking around. And if they would have just turned their head a little bit, they would have seen someone.
Because it's obvious that he is there to do something, to kill someone. Because he hides in Claire's closet, and I don't know if it's him making the meowing. I know. Thought it was.
I think it probably is.
Yeah, because he was trying to lure her over there.
Yeah,
make it sound like the cat, and that
was really creepy.
Yeah, well, for you when I leave tonight,
when there's still a cat here. Yeah,
but that one, it seems like it was premeditated.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much, hey, I want to get her.
Yeah.
But I got into her room because he came down from the attic and goes into her room. And then, it just happens to be her room. She goes into it.
Yeah.
So, there was an opportunity there, but he did kind of lead her to the closet where he got her.
Yeah.
The others, Mrs. Garrett, she popped her head up into the attic. He gets her.
Yeah.
Barb, she's asleep.
Yeah.
Phil maybe was ambushed because she went in to check on Barb.
Yeah.
And the police officer out front.
Yeah.
Who's
the guy who was stationed in the car. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been more sneaking up, not so much ambush.
Yeah.
He did know what he was doing, though.
Yeah.
Enough to know to call. Somehow he got their number.
Yeah.
But to call from Mrs. Garrett's room down to downstairs.
To the other phone, yeah.
And to be able to get from her room to the attic.
Yeah.
Without anybody seeing him.
Yeah.
And then to know, hey, that cop out there, there is a cop out there. It's kind of like monster movies.
Yeah.
Or, that the monster always knows where the fuse box is.
Yeah.
And always knows to take that out.
Yeah.
For some reason, even though it doesn't know what a light switch is.
Yeah, it doesn't know any of that, but it knows to take that out.
Yeah. So it was kind of like the same thing. It's like, I may be insane, but I need to take that guy out. I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, like you said, he wasn't so much that he was plotting. It was just, it was all opportunities.
Yeah. Let me check. I think that this might be a good time for our break.
Well, that went quick.
I know, it went really quick. I think it was the cherry pie.
Yes, it makes everything go faster.
But I think we'll take our break here in a second and then finish up with, I have a few thoughts, and we'll discuss that during the break.
Sounds good.
We will be right back. And we are back.
Yay!
Yahoo! So, I just during the break. I mean, Jay was here too, but we looked up the trivia, and I could have sworn I heard. Maybe it's in a special feature on the Blu-ray. Maybe I don't remember. So I'm going to say this. Well, in a second, I'm going to say this, and it may or may not be true, but I could have sworn I heard this somewhere. So to set this up, though, the killer, the actual killer, when he's making these phone calls. So like we said at the beginning, the original phone call you hear is most likely someone else. It's just real dirty and nasty, like a pervert, basically.
Yeah.
After that, I mean, there's still really disturbing phone calls from the killer, but it's more about he's apparently Billy.
Yes.
And he's talking to someone named Agnes.
He has a like split personality, apparently.
Yeah, there's several voices going on coming from the killer, though. He's doing like a...
He's like talking, he's talking like Billy, and then Agnes talks.
Yeah.
And then toward the end, there was a baby that's talking,
Yeah.
Yeah, he just keeps flitting from one to the other.
Yeah. And I'll get to this in a second, but the trivia I had heard is, now what we found online was that 3 different actors or voice actors did the 3 different voices. So there literally are 3 different people, not one person doing 3 voices. But what I had heard is that when you watch the movie, you could swear that like there's more than one person because someone's, Billy's talking and then Agnes cuts in.
You hear them overlapping.
Finishes. Yeah. But apparently, at least the trivia that I think I read somewhere, which may or may not be true.
Maybe the cold medicine.
It may be cold medicine, yeah. Is that it's cut so well that you think you hear it like that, but you actually don't. That if someone could do all those voices, they literally could have done what this killer did in the movie. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, maybe one of those things too, like where people always say that Halloween was a really gory movie.
Yeah, and there's like none.
Yeah, you think you saw blood everywhere, and really there's none.
Yeah, it's probably something like that.
So yeah.
Now the other trivia I believe I've heard somewhere, and again this is also possibly Tylenol Cold medicine, is that, and this is not, no, it's not trivia. It's rumors or like hypothesis or something.
Okay.
People are saying that the killer possibly used to live in that house.
Oh.
That maybe before it was a sorority house, it was just a house. And that some horrible thing happened there with Agnes, Billy, and a baby. And that he's just kind of like Halloween, he's got out of some sort of mental institution and just went home.
Yeah, because that's the interesting thing that I thought about after the movie was over was it's never, you're never given anything about who he is, other than he says the name Billy.
You see his eye at one point in his hand, and that's about it.
And a shadow, Where in Halloween you know who Michael Myers is, and in this one, you never, because you never really find out. They don't get the killer. And we do find out that this little town has the worst police department in the world. But, you don't find out anything about him, which is, I guess for the time was kind of cool. But it also kind of was just like, I just at least want to know, did he escape from an asylum? Or, and
I think it's a positive and a negative. Like at the same time, you want to know, like, okay, who is this guy? Did he want to kill those specific girls for a specific reason? But at the same time, it's also scary when there's not a pattern or as long as I don't do A, B, C, no killer's going to come kill me. It's just so random. It's like...
That's more disconcerting because, you're like... you're like, okay, well, because like Claire, she probably had slept with a boyfriend and she had some to drink, but she wasn't a party girl. She wasn't Barb. And then, of course, Jess, she's pregnant, so obviously she's been doing stuff with Peter. And the tropes, nowadays, it's, the virgin lives.
And the bad girls all die.
And so there are some things that didn't, maybe they had their kernel in this movie, but they've been fleshed out in others. Because like John Carpenter, it's obvious he took inspiration from this.
And maybe he thought, well, but who's the killer? The killer needs more of a backstory.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where he came up with that.
But even in Halloween, they didn't overdo it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you see him, you know he's a little boy.
He's still mysterious.
Yeah. And you know he comes back, and yeah, he goes to his house, his old house.
Yeah.
And then he fixates on Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
And later on, the whole sister thing.
The sister thing, yeah.
That's dumb. But it fleshed it out a little bit, which was kind of cool. But on the same, on the same token, it was kind of neat just going, oh, well, we just don't know anything about him.
It's a thing that happened, and sometimes people get killed, and you never know who did it or why.
Yeah.
So it's this movie is fairly legendary, I guess. I mean, you always hear. I know you hadn't seen it before, but you've heard about it a lot. Yeah, and I had heard about it. I think probably about 15 years or so ago. I was probably in my 30s when I first saw it. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really good. I mean, it's weird to look back on a movie like that because you've seen everything happen in another movie since.
Yeah.
So it's hard to go back and pretend like you're seeing it for the first time.
And it's hard because I know you said it scared you.
Yeah.
It didn't scare me only because, I've seen all these things happen since.
Yeah.
But still, it was really well done.
Yeah.
It was good. It was tense.
Yeah.
They really needed to spare some more light bulbs.
Yeah. The whole movie's dark. Even the police station is just...
I don't think anything happens during the day. Oh, okay. When Mr. Harrison shows up.
When he's going to meet he's supposed to meet his daughter.
Yeah.
It's daytime.
That's about the only time it's daytime.
That's a good point.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're left wondering, and you're also left wondering because, again, as I said, the police department was the worst.
Yeah.
Because they go in, they rescue Jess, and they think, oh, well, it was Peter.
Yeah.
And she killed him, and they take her to her bed, give her a sedative
to kind of relax and rest.
Yeah, and the doctor says, well, I'll stay here with.
Yeah. And
then Mr. Harrison passes out, and they go, oh, he's going into shock. Get him to the hospital. It's like, why wasn't she being taken to the hospital?
Yeah.
And then they're worried about Mr. Harrison. So the entire police department leaves.
Yeah.
And turns out the lights.
Yeah.
And they never once went upstairs or went and checked in the attic.
Yeah.
They never...
Yeah, the attic has 2 dead bodies in it this whole time.
And in their defense... Maybe their CSI team would go up there and investigate. Maybe they really didn't have a reason to go up there yet.
Yeah, they don't know that anyone else is missing inside the house.
But there was the Barb's room. There were the 2 bodies in there, so they knew those were in there. They had Pete, and they had the officer. So the only 2 they didn't get were Mrs. Garrett and Claire.
Yeah,
and you still would think they would have checked or would have left some officers there, not turned the lights off and left her.
Yeah, I always think that's the part that almost gets me more than any other part of the movie is when they turn off the lights and she's just laying there, and as the camera kind of like walks itself down the hall.
Yeah.
And you start hearing Billy again, you're like, okay, now she's alone on a sedative in a house with the killer. Like she's more...
She's totally vulnerable
than ever in the entire movie.
And that kind of took me out of the movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm going, really? They would have left somebody there with her.
Yeah.
Not
because they think a killer's there, but just because
she's sedated.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure she's,
yeah.
We need to transport her. Somebody stay here with her until we get the transport here. So that actually took me out of the movie.
That makes sense.
And the rest of it was like, okay, cool, I'm on. Yeah. And then that part is just like, you just ripped all the disbelief out from me.
Whether it's true or not, I personally like to have the kind of the theory that Billy, at some point when he was a kid, lived in that house. And
that's
Agnes
a good theory.
Was a mom, or probably not a mom. He wouldn't call his mom Agnes, but maybe a sister, aunt, or something like that.
Yeah.
And there was some sort of baby situation, and
yeah.
Anyway, I don't even. It's almost better not to know exactly what happened.
It's a cool theory.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it too, because why that house? And you're thinking this crazy kid. Again, this is all just making this up, but he's going back home. Okay, finally I'm home. What are all these weird people doing in my house?
Well, and he knew how to get up in there.
Yeah, he knew the layout of the house.
Yeah, he threw the fit in. He threw a fit in the attic.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering now if some of the stuff. Yeah, was
yeah,
some of his
that
stuff.
rocking horse.
Or maybe he was, left up there. I mean, that's part of the fun of this. Is you can just totally go
you can go
anywhere
forever
with
on
it.
this.
Yeah. So it was a really good movie.
Yeah.
I'm not big on the language that was used. It was like extreme.
I always forget
nastiness.
how bad it is.
It's
like
within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, it starts out with that. Pretty much starts out with that obscene phone call, and it's extremely obscene. And I always forget how bad it is. Like how graphic and the words are.
Yeah.
It gets real specific.
When we were getting ready to do this, I had told my wife, I said, "You're welcome to come." And and I almost said and watch it, but I know she doesn't like horror movies. Yeah. And then that started, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad she's
good thing."
Here.
Yeah. I know. I was actually thinking. I have a now 18-year-old son. I was thinking, like, I wonder if he's ever seen this. I'm like,
I hope not.
Well, maybe he has, but I hope he hasn't. But yeah, so I really like that movie. I watch it usually about once a year, usually sometime near Christmas. Yeah.
Some people watch White Christmas.
Yeah, some people watch that,
Black Christmas,
or It's a Wonderful Life, or even Die Hard. But
something life affirming.
Yeah, I watch Black Christmas.
Yeah, okay.
So this is, I think, right now we're going to kind of close this part of the podcast, and because it's the end of the year, we have sort of for all one or two of you.
Yeah, probably just to remind us.
Yeah, to remind ourselves that this next year we're going to not necessarily try something new, but just kind of expand what we do.
Yeah, our little repertoire here.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, we've kind of focused on, well, ideally it was kind of B-grade movies, but movies that we loved. And looking at them from a more... It's still critical, but not as harsh as some podcasts can be and some reviews can be. And there's been a few times when we've done more recent movies, like we've done, we did Solo, we did Last Jedi. I don't recall us doing Force Awakens. That was before we were doing this. I think that was
before, yeah.
But, so we've done a few like that. What we want to do now, though, we both love bad movies.
Yeah.
And movies in general. We both love music.
Yeah.
We love pop culture. We love all the stuff that comes with the toys and movies and music and all that stuff. So we decided we're going to kind of start including some of that in.
Yeah.
And we'll still do the movies. We'll still, of course, when new Star Wars movies come out or new movies that we think would be interesting, to give the like we did for Solo, we did the review in the car immediately after watching the movie. But we might, pick, toys that we grew up with.
Yeah.
Or toys that we have now, or music. Yeah. We might, we both like a lot of the same music, but we like a lot of different music. So maybe we'll introduce each other to different music.
Do some top 10 or top 5 lists or something like that. Yeah,
things like that. And maybe if we've got more time, we might, throw an extra one in per month or in a given month. We had fun with Marjo Madness last year, so if there's any more Marjo movies, we might do Marjo Madness again.
A few more.
Of course, Kevin's Birthday Palooza. He gets to pick a movie. We'll probably do our summer reruns again. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
This is all subject to change, but we like kind of having an idea, almost a theme for the month.
Yeah.
And we'll do that, but we'll expand it out to different genres and themes.
I think a lot of times what happens is we do the podcast and we're kind of, like Jay mentioned, we're kind of stuck to this, do a B movie, talk about it, make fun of it, but then at the end say, but we actually like it.
Yeah.
But what happens is we end up talking either before or after or both the movie. We'll end up talking about something else even just as exciting. And sometimes we thought, well, why don't we just talk about that on a podcast?
Yeah. And
well, we can't because we do B movies. Well, why not?
Well, and sometimes it's attached to what we're talking about, and sometimes it's something totally different.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of fun things we can talk about.
Yeah.
And go with. So, we might pull TV shows, we might pull food.
Yeah.
We can do foods.
Just anything.
Since food tends to be a part of each podcast.
This may become just called Stuff That Jay and Kevin Like.
The Stuff Podcast.
Yeah. But anyway, we thought that'd be kind of a neat, fun thing for, at least fun for us, and hopefully fun for all two of you. And yeah,
because we're hoping more than 2 people listen, but you know, we're not. Well, I was looking at our numbers at views, and our numbers start off okay for you know, we were 20s and 30s and stuff, and then we hit the Bionic Bigfoot episode.
Yeah.
And after that, everything's kind of gone down.
Yeah.
There are 300 views at last check of Bionic Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So apparently there are a lot of fans of that out there.
They love that, and then they think, I like this, but I don't want to listen to any more of these guys.
Yes,
ever.
Please don't make me ever listen to these guys again. So, you know, and it's never been about the numbers. We just enjoy doing this. But it is fun seeing the stats sometimes and going, oh, okay. Yeah. So, you know, keep listening, all 2 of you. Yeah. And Kevin and Jay.
We really like both of you, especially you.
And most especially you, yes. Yeah. So,
all right. Well,
there you have it.
Black Christmas.
Yay. Merry Black Christmas.
Yep. And we will talk to you next year.
Yay for next year. See ya.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost its wheel and the Joker